Welcome to another video on Excel, where we shall be looking at the payroll. We have this particular exercise here that we shall be using to demonstrate the different ways in which we can perform the computations to complete the payroll. So when you look at this particular table, it has the employee number, the names here, the salary scale, basic pay, and other areas that we shall cover as we continue. So when you look at part B, we are supposed to use the if function to allocate the salary scales of the company as follows. So these are the different ranges. For example, the scale BEK1 comes in when somebody earns shillings 2.4 million and above. Then when we look at table C, we are supposed to allocate medical allowance based on the salary scale. Then when you proceed down, the risk allowance also allocated based on this particular scale. Then we have NSCF 5%. This is contributed by the employee. Then part F, the savings scheme also takes 8% of the basic pay of an employee. Then part G, we have the tax ranges right here. So everyone is supposed to contribute pay as you earn to the tax authority based on these particular ranges. Then finally here we have what is required. We are supposed to insert a suitable heading to the payroll. Then you're supposed to use a text box, as you can see right here. Then afterwards we compute the payroll for Nakawa Beverage Company for the month of November. So we shall copy this, then we shall use it as our title right here. So you'll type this particular data set that we have right here on the table, this particular information. You'll type it in Excel, as you can see right here. Then you go to insert, then you come to shapes, then the text box is right here. So we shall click on it, then we can have it somewhere there. Then we can paste the text that we just copied from our guide. So this will be the title. So Nakawa Beverage Company payroll for the month of November 2020. Okay. So this is our suitable heading that we have put in place. So the next thing we shall do is to capture the additional information that will support us when we are performing these computations. So you can merge some cells right here, highlight, go to home, then you click on merge. So we shall say additional information. Additional information. So you can bold that, Ctrl B, or you simply click on that. Then down here we shall have item, then value. So this means the different additional information that we shall capture. When we go back to our information right here, we shall mainly capture data about NSCF, which you can see is 5%. That is the value. 5%. Then we have savings, which which is 8%, as indicated right here. And we go down to the tax ranges that we have right here. So we shall say pay as you earn. We have nil, which is 0%, as indicated right here. Then 10%, then we have 20%, 30%. So we have 20%, then we have 30%. So this will help us when we are computing the pay at that particular point. So let's start with the first part, the scale, based on the ranges that you have on the table. That is part B. So we have those who earn 2.4 million and above, their scale is BEK1. So when you are assigning numeric values, or rather when you are assigning alphanumeric values or alphabetic values, we need to enclose them in double quotes in Excel. So we shall make sure that you do that. So you put the equal sign, then you say if the basic pay is greater than or equals to 2.4 million, what should happen? The scale is BEK1, BEK1, as indicated on this particular table here. Those who earn shillings 2.4 million and above, the scale should be BEK1. So we can do that for the rest. Else, if the basic pay is greater than or equals to 2 million, what should happen? The scale will be BEK2. Else, if the basic pay is greater than or equals to 1.8, what should happen? The scale will be BEK3. Else, if the basic pay is greater than or equals to 1.5 million, what should happen? The scale will be 4, BEK4. Else, if basic pay is greater than or equals to 1.2 million, what should happen? The scale will be BEK5. Else, if the basic pay is greater than or equals to 900,000, what should happen? The scale will be BEK6. Else, if the basic pay is greater than or equals to 400,000, what should happen? The scale will be BEK7. Else, meaning any other thing that doesn't meet these conditions that you have already put in place, should be BEK8, meaning those who earn 390,000, 399. Else, this would be BEK9. 8. Okay, so now you may decide to count the opening brackets, but technically you can see the opening bracket is black, meaning that the very last one also should be black. So let's close them. So you can see the last one is here, it's black, so you press the enter key, then you click right here, then you point at this point until it forms this plus symbol black, then you double click to autofill. So when you double click, it will autofill. Great. So we have our scales assigned. So even if you have thousands of employees, everything will work out automatically as indicated. So we move on to part C, where we are supposed to allocate medical allowances based on the scales provided. So we can have BEK 3 to 8 having allowances. So as indicated right here, we are supposed to create additional columns or suitable headings to aid completion of our task. So let's do that together. So we shall say medical allowance right here. We shall add that column, medical. So we may just call it medical. Okay, bold it. So right here we shall do the same. So you put the equal sign and say that if the scale is equals to, remember this is also alphanumeric, so meaning that you have to put it in double quotes. So if the scale is equals to what you see right here, BEK 3, so you open double quotes and say BEK 3, what should happen? That person should get an allowance of 400,000. Else, if the scale is equals to BEK 4, what should happen? That person should get an allowance of 340,000. Else, if the scale is equals to BEK 5, the scale should be, that is the medical allowance, should be 300,000. Else, if the scale is equals to BEK 6, what should the allowance be? It should be 280,000. Else, if the scale is equals to BEK 7, the scale, rather the medical allowance, should be 250,000. Else, if the scale is BEK, if the scale is equals to BEK 8, then the allowance should be 200,000. Else, meaning any other thing that doesn't meet these conditions that we have already provided, should be 0. So we close the brackets like we did before. The very last one should be black, corresponding to the opening bracket. So we can press the enter key and we have it right there. So only these fall within that range. So you save the changes, move to the next part, which is part D, the risk allowance. So this one is a little bit shorter. So the risk allowance is only provided to BEK1 and BEK2. So let's write the if function for this. So you can say risk allowance. So also this is based on the scale. So you can say that if the scale is equals to BEK1, then the risk allowance is 380,000. So when you're dealing with numerical values, we don't need to enclose in quotes. That's why we're doing them like this. So 380,000. Else, if the scale is equals to BEK2, then value if true, the risk allowance will be 280,000. Else, zero risk allowance, meaning that all those that don't meet these two conditions get zero. So we close the two brackets, press the enter key, then you double click. Okay. So we have so far computed the different earnings, implying that to have our payroll complete, we need to compute the gross pay. So we shall just say GP, which is the sum of all the earnings. Okay, so we shall just use the sum function. So you put the equal sign, then you say sum, open the bracket and highlight the range, close, press enter key. So this will help us when we are computing the deductions that we are supposed to make. So when you see such, it means the field width is small, so you just point right here and double click until auto fit. Okay. So let's proceed and compute NSCF, which is a certain percentage of the gross pay. So we shall have NSCF right there, which is 5% of the gross pay. So equal sign, click on the gross pay value, times, then you scroll down on our additional information, then you click on 5, then you fix, you make it absolute by pressing F4 key on the keyboard. We have F1 up to F12, so F4. So it means you have made it a constant to apply to all these figures here. So you press the enter key, then you'll be able to double click to autofill. So we have NSCF right there. Then we have saving schemes, which is deducted at 8% of basic pay for all employees. So we shall say saving right there. So it is 8% of the basic pay. So we put equal sign, we click on the basic pay, times, then you scroll down to our value here, then you also make it a constant by pressing F4, so we make it fixed. Now when you're using some laptops, you have to first press Fn, then you click on F4. Some laptops may not have F4 effect this fixing direct. So for some laptops, you press Fn, then you click on F4. So you double click and we shall have it there. Then now we compute our pay as you earn, PAYE. right there. So that is our last part, which is part G. This particular table here, we have the ranges here, not exceeding 235, that is nil, which is equivalent to 0%, as we have indicated right here in what we captured here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. It's a nested if function as well. So you put if the gross pay is less than or equals to 235,000, what should happen? We should pick the gross pay value that meets that condition as indicated here. So we pick that gross pay value that meets the condition and multiply by 0%, meaning they don't pay tax. So we fix F4. So we shall be fixing all the rates such that it applies to all values that meet that condition. So we're just using this simple data set. Otherwise, in the real world, you will have millions, thousands of employees. So this will help you. That's why it's important to capture additional information. So let's go to condition 2, which is right here, exceeding 235,000 but not exceeding 335. What is the rate? 10% of the amount by which the chargeable income exceeds that. So we shall say if, so we shall basically be using the upper limits while getting our logical test or conditions. So the upper limit here is 335, upper limit here is 410, upper limit here is 10 million, then anything exceeding 10 million. Okay, so we go to our condition 2, which states that if the gross pay value is less than or equals to 335,000, what should happen? We should pick the value that meets that condition and multiply by 10%, which is right here. So we fix it. Okay, that is condition 2. We go to the next condition, which says that if the gross pay value is less than or equals to 410,000, as you can see right here, this is the upper limit. What should happen? We should get 10,000 plus 20% of the amount by which the chargeable income exceeds 335. Okay, so the value, if true, will be 10,000 plus, open the bracket, 20%, which is right here. Don't forget to fix 20% of the difference between that figure that meets the condition and 335,000. So we close the two internal brackets, which is this and this. So that is our condition 3. We go to the next condition, which states that if the gross pay is less than or equals to, so our upper limit here is 10 million. So if the gross pay value is less than or equals to 10 million, what should happen? We should get 25,000 plus 30% of the amount by which the chargeable income exceeds 410. So we shall have 25,000 plus You open the bracket, 30%, don't forget to fix, 30% off the difference between that figure that meets the condition and 410,000. Then we close the two internal brackets. Then our last condition, meaning else any other thing. We have already catered for 10 million and below, so meaning any other remaining thing. So any other remaining thing, when you look at this, we have part A and B. Part A, if you look at it carefully, it is an equivalent of our condition 4. So we shall reproduce this. Then we simply add in another part where we shall have 10% of the excess of 10 million. So that's what we shall do in the last part. So we shall have 25,000 plus, open the bracket, 30%, we fix it, 30% of the difference between that figure that meets the condition, the difference between that figure that meets the condition and 410,000. Then close the two internal brackets, plus. So when you look at part B, it is stating that 10% of the excess of 10 million. So plus, we open another bracket, then 10%, which we shall also fix, of the difference between that figure that meets the condition and 10 million. Then we close the two internal brackets. Now, just like we did previously with the salary scale and the rest of the parts, the final bracket here, when we are terminating all these brackets, should correspond in color. So the opening is black, meaning the closing should also be black. So put them. So that is the final one. So we can now press the enter key and we have the pay computed here. Okay. So now for us to be able to obtain the net pay, it is gross pay minus sum of all the deductions. So equal sign gross pay minus sum of all the deductions from this point up to that point. Close the bracket and press the enter key. Okay, so you'll have your payroll here ready. So you can highlight this portion, then you come to home, then this section, and you put all borders. Okay, so thank you for watching. Hope you practice. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.